Welcome in. Welcome to the Premier Mindset by Premier Performance LLC. I'm your host, Trent Mailer, LCSW, and this is episode 18. We have information in our show notes, so if there's anything you're looking for, I would check there first. We got descriptions of what we're doing, what we're talking about, but we also have other things in there as well, such as research or things that you might be looking for, like links. If there is anything that you're looking for, I would check there first. So if you ask me for something, that might be where I put it. If I don't put it there, I'll probably put it on social media, but I'll probably at least put in the show notes a little, write-up about where it is, if it is on social media. So check there and see if it's there. We have videos of the episodes on YouTube and Spotify, and we'll share clips on social media as well. So if you want to check out the video versions, go on and hop on there. We'd love to see you. It is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you would like it somewhere else, just let me know, and we'll get it up in those places as well. If you could, it would be awesome to leave a review. We'd love having the feedback and just hearing things from you guys. If you get something helpful from it, a review like that helps get our reach out there and get it to more people, so that would be great. Outside of that, like, follow, favorite, subscribe. Make sure you get that content as it comes out. We got new episodes coming out every Sunday, and every once in a while things will come out in between. So just keep an eye out and make sure you hit on all those things so that you get the notifications as things come through, so that you get all the stuff that's coming out. If you think someone could get help from this episode or any of these episodes, make sure to send it their way. Our goal is to help people do the best they can be and get what they need to be successful. So if you think this would help someone out, that would be really helpful to just share that and send it their way. We'd really appreciate that on our side, and I'm sure they may appreciate it on their side too. If you think there's anyone out there that could better understand themselves or their system or how their body works or any of these things, I think that might be a great place to send this stuff, especially today's episode, because we're going to talk pretty encompassing, like the whole body. So it could be helpful to help people understand who they are and what they're doing. At the same time, it's not a replacement for therapy or medical treatment. This is purely educational. The goal is to spread awareness and help you guys just understand what's going on, get a couple tools you could use, try some things out in your life, and maybe point yourself in the direction to get what you need. So if you need something, make sure to go get it. Don't get caught up just trying to use these things. This isn't enough by itself. We need more than this stuff too. With that, I do make it a point to give you guys actionable tools to find success in life. So I want you guys to try it out. And it's all evidence-based. They're not just random things. So it's all been researched in various ways. I make sure this stuff works, or at least works for a majority of people, because I don't want to waste your time and give you things to try out that probably aren't going to help you. So keep that in mind, and also keep in mind trying these things out, because even if they sound like they're not going to work, you might be surprised. Sometimes we just got to try it out and see where it leads us. If you do have any questions, issues, problems, and you want to reach out in any way, that would be awesome. You could reach out to us through a lot of different ways. The first one is through email. So my email is tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name spelled Mahler. You can text or call me directly at 775-561-0056. We also have the Instagram and the TikTok with the same names, Premier_Performance_Reno. So follow us on both of those. We also have the Facebook and the LinkedIn page with the same name, which is Premier Performance LLC. So again, follow us on both of those. Today, we're going to cover the topic of PsychoNeuroImmunology. It's a pretty intense word. Some of you may have never heard about it before, and that's okay. That's partly why I'm covering it. I think it's a really powerful way to look at how our body and our system works, and it's kind of a newer branch of science that I think is going to lead to some really cool things, especially with the new problems we're finding through that system, stuff like autoimmune issues and all that kind of thing. So I think this will be a pretty cool topic, and you guys may get some awesome things from it, so we'll dive into that. But first, we're going to get into our brain activity. So our brain activity for this week is called Minute Launch. The way to do this is set a timer for 1 minute after picking just one task you're going to do as soon as it goes off. This is really helpful if you're having a hard time getting started. It's really great to just get us moving and start building momentum, or just get us working on a task that maybe we've been avoiding or pushing off. Once that timer rings, once you get it started at that minute, the second it rings, you got to immediately start on that task. No warming up, no waiting to feel ready, no checking in with yourself, just doing. Sometimes the biggest thing that gets in our way is just ourselves and overthinking and getting caught up in the feelings that we got going on. And sometimes we just got to do it. Sometimes we just got to jump to action. Sometimes the hardest part is the action. So something like this, the minute launch, can really help us just launch into that action. And the cool thing is, once the gears get moving, you can sometimes turn that momentum into big progress. Even if it stalls out, you just reset and do it again and keep going with a new task until either everything is all done or you catch that momentum and you start gliding on it for a little bit and get a lot more things done than you thought you were going to. So try that out. Try and get some stuff done through just that minute launch and setting yourself up to just get going. You might find that once things get started, it's a whole lot easier to keep it going. So give it a shot whenever you're having an issue just getting started and you're feeling that stalling, feeling just that freeze aspect of life. Make sure you just push yourself to get moving and get the ball rolling. So let's get into it. What is psychoneuroimmunology? Psychoneuroimmunology is the study of how the mind, psycho, the nervous system, neuro, and immune system, immunology, interact and influence one another. These various systems interact and influence one another in a lot of different ways, and it's pretty powerful to understand how they're interacting with each other to help ourselves find more success and get more to what we're looking for in life. Suppressing emotions doesn't protect you, it actually weakens your immune system. Psychoneuroimmunology explores how thoughts, emotions, and stress can affect the immune system and how immune system responses can in turn impact mood and mental functioning. This is a huge thing because it shows that that pathway goes both ways. That our thoughts, our actions, our emotions can change how we in our body are feeling and how it's handling things, how it's handling, sickness and diseases, how it's handling just regulating systems inside our body. Those systems inside our body can also impact our mood and mental functioning in reverse as well. So the way our body is feeling can impact how we are thinking, how we are acting, how we're behaving in our life. And there's been some big cases that have come out that have turned into movies and these kind of things about this, about having like an infection that starts causing behavioral problems or mental health issues. And sometimes it can be pretty intense and pretty severe. There's one movie out there called Brain on Fire. There's also a book about it, about a woman who had an infection that ended up causing a lot of problems that they thought was actually like schizophrenia or some sort of psychosis, but it wasn't. They ended up finding out that was an infection, and they helped take care of it, and it helped get rid of all these problems kind of right away. So these systems are pretty tied, and they're pretty impactful of each other, and we don't always think about that. We talk about it kind of, but we like to still keep it pretty separate. And I notice that because when I bring some of these things up or point stuff out, it usually shocks people. So like we're aware of a connection, but we just don't think it's super strong. So we got to take a look and really zoom out and explore how strong this connection actually is. I mean, there's a couple core ideas of psychoneuroimmunology that really hit on a lot. One side of it is stress and immunity. Chronic stress can suppress immune function, making a person more vulnerable to illness. Like I was saying, being under stress and being worried about things, going through problems mentally, stresses in our life emotionally, these things can make it more likely to get sick. So this is something to look out for. If you're getting sick all the time, you don't know why, of course, let's check out the medicals, see what's going on, do some blood work, whatever we need to do. But if we're crossing everything out, we can't figure it out, there's a chance it could be stress, that you're just under so much stress, your body's not handling things well, and there's a lot of stuff that are getting past your own defenses. That mind and body connection also does a lot of things with those thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, because they can influence our physical health. For example, depression or anxiety may increase inflammation in our body, and that's a physical response to a mental, struggle. And these things are connected. We do see these things play out, and we're going to get deeper into inflammation a little later in the episode, but it's a big indicator of just our body going through things and going through struggles and issues. Another side of this is neurotransmitters and hormones. The brain communicates with the immune system through chemical messengers like cortisol, norepinephrine, and cytokines. And these things get activated when we're under stress. These things get activated when we're under attack, like a bacteria coming into our body, these kind of things. So we got to be aware of how these things are communicating with each other, because that immune system is communicating through these messengers, and it can throw a lot of things off. I mean, if you think about it, that immune system is a big part of some of these bigger issues that we see in society popping up more, like cancers or autoimmune issues. Cancers are kind of like a not enough of a response to something happening in the immune system, whether it's like a mutation or any of these things, and then things start growing out of control and our body's not stopping it. Where on the other side, an autoimmune issue is our body attacking things it shouldn't attack. that it's looking at things in almost too sensitive of ways, that when as soon as it sees these things, it tries to attack it and jump on it instead of just letting it be there because there's nothing wrong with it. So, I mean, you could see the extremes of the spectrum through some of those diseases and sicknesses like cancer or autoimmune issues, because that is kind of how some of this stuff is playing out. And it's not saying that this stuff is all directly tied, like you take care of your mental health and all of a sudden your autoimmune issue goes away. But these systems are tied, and that's the point I'm trying to really make here, is that these things are all connected. The behavioral influence is always big. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, coping skills all influence both mental and immune health. Highlighting the interdependence of these systems is really important because these things all lean on each other. None of these things work in a vacuum. Understanding autoimmune diseases, cancer progression, and inflammatory conditions are a big part of this field, and developing mind-body therapies like meditation, biofeedback, and EMDR to reduce stress and improve immune function have shown a lot of success lately. Research into how trauma and chronic emotional distress impact physical health over time has been a really big piece of this as well, because we have shown through stuff like ACEs and all these other studies that going through trauma and just this chronic emotional distress can create problems in our physical health more often than other people in society that haven't gone through those things. And we've shown that pretty clearly in a lot of studies. PsychoNeuroImmunology is the foundation to integrative medicine and underscores why psychological resilience and emotional regulation are critical for long-term health. So again, these systems are so tied together that to ensure you have good physical health throughout your life, we have to make sure to take care of these things and to manage our own emotions, because if we let that just run wild, our health is going to go sideways too. These things are really leaning on each other, and we have to take care of both sides. And this is why we're trying to shine an awareness on the mental side, because we often just lean on the physical health side and just push through the mental side. And that's actually going to make some things worse sometimes, and we might have to do other things to deal with this stuff. Stress is just not super good in our body. When we are under stress, it creates inflammation. And inflammation is the body's natural response to injury or an infection, but it can also become harmful when it becomes chronic, like chronic stressful situations. While acute inflammation is a beneficial defense mechanism, chronic inflammation can contribute to various diseases and health problems. Acute inflammation is more short term. This is more the body jumping into the healing process to start taking care of things. I mean, we have some inflammation that come from just working out, because when we're working out, we're kind of tearing muscles a little bit so they can repair and regrow and come back stronger and bigger. Same thing with our body. When it's going through a healing process, things are building back up. That could be like hurting my ankle, that could be a cut, it could be a lot of different things, but it's usually that short-term type of stuff, and it's usually triggered by an injury or an infection. Signs and symptoms of this kind of stuff, the acute inflammation is usually like redness, swelling, heat, pain, loss of function of the area, these type of things. It could be redness or swelling after a cut or the body's response to the flu. It's just like more of a short-term thing that's there, but then eventually goes away. It can be pretty intense in the moment, but it's usually not super long-lasting. If you're constantly tired, reactive, and anxious, this might be why. Chronic inflammation. This is a long-term thing that builds up on us. When inflammation persists beyond the healing period, it can become chronic and damaging. So inflammation to a certain extent is helpful and good for us. Once it's there too long, it starts to create problems. Going back to what we've talked about in a lot of different episodes, balance is key in our life and in our bodies. And this is the same thing with this area, is if we don't have that balance in this healing process and it's there too long, it actually creates more problems itself. This can be triggered by a lot of different things like autoimmune disorders, chronic infections, toxins, lifestyle factors like stress, obesity, or a poor diet. If we don't take care of ourselves, it leads to issues, and the consequences can contribute to a wide range of diseases, including heart disease. Inflammation can damage the blood vessels that end up creating more heart disease and more problems. It can also create arthritis, as inflammation is a key factor to rheumatoid arthritis. Diabetes, another thing that chronic inflammation can affect insulin resistance. Cancer, long-term inflammation can promote cancer development. Alzheimer's disease, inflammation is implicated in the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Mood disorders, depression, and anxiety can be linked to chronic inflammation. Digestive issues, inflammation can cause or worsen digestive problems like bloating, pain, and IBS. So, I mean, we could keep going down the list, but literally all of these situations, all of these issues, while we think they're just in the body, they're all related to inflammation. And that inflammation can be started through chronic inflammation of stress or problems, lifestyle factors, putting our body in a spot of stress or issues, being impacted by things like chronic infections or toxins, not taking care of our body in the way we need to. It can lead to a lot of big problems. So we got to be aware of this stuff. And there are some signs you can look out for, such as body aches, unexplained fatigue, skin issues, digestive problems, and mood disorders. And if you see something or think something's going on, go get it checked out. The quicker we figure out what's going on, the quicker we get to it and start doing the work. And honestly, that's going to lead to the best results. So don't push this stuff off. If you think something's wrong, you get a feeling of it, or you just want to check something out, go in and check it out, see what's happening. And if you get the all clear, then don't worry about it. Don't stress on it, because we don't want to sit in stress. I mean, that's kind of the idea of chronic inflammation and not doing that. But we also got to take care of the body and make sure we do the things that we need to do. But let's be aware, if we're having a lot of health problems and we're also stressed out all the time, that maybe some of the problems that we need to take care of aren't related just to our physical health, and they are more related to our life and our mental health and what's going on in it. So just keep an eye out and see what's going on and see what we might need to do. It could help out in a lot of powerful ways. So who works in this field? Psychoneuroimmunology is a huge field because it overlaps with so many different professions. It's an interdisciplinary field, which means there's a lot of different professions that intersect with it, such as doctors, therapists, educators, neuroscientists, immunologists, autoimmune experts, biomedical researchers, oncologists, nutritionists, and on and on. It's really just connecting the mind and the body with whatever work we're doing. And the more we've done with this field, the more we see that this stuff happens more and more than we think. The bottom line is psychoneuroimmunology is a collaboration between psychology, neuroscience, immunology, and medicine. So professionals working in this field often straddle multiple disciplines to understand and treat the whole person. And this is why we need to get good at working with other people, and we also got to expand our horizon and our awareness as a professional, knowing about these other fields and how they interact. Because if we get so caught up in just like one corner, doing just one thing, we miss the rest of the stuff and everything else going on. And our body has a lot of different systems working all at once. It's not just one thing happening at a time. So we can't have that tunnel vision just focusing on one side of it. You're going to end up missing stuff. This kind of reinforces that idea that we have to look at the whole person and everything going on, not just one part of it. Breaking down each system, we'll look a little bit closer at each of these systems as we dive deeper. The nervous system is a big part of just what we're feeling and what's going on. An unregulated nervous system will sabotage your healing, your performance, and your mood. Our nervous system is responsible for our stress response. That's like the fight or flight, feeling threatened, feeling like something's going on, feeling that bar up, and feeling like there's no space left to deal with things. Our cortisol gets released to help us deal with stress, but again, long term, it's not going to help us. It's going to break things down and start causing problems and could cause sickness by itself. And our body's not going to heal very well if we're under stress and we're not feeling good. I mean, if you just think about it physically, like if you have an ankle that you have hurt and you're trying to let it heal, if you're putting stress on it by running on that ankle every day, it's not going to heal like it's supposed to. We have to take the stress off and try and let these things relax and let them heal in the way they need to heal. And sometimes it's not just turning things off, especially through our nervous system. Sometimes it's regulation. Sometimes it's helping ourselves through these things and setting ourselves up. So we have to take care of this self. Otherwise, it could sabotage our healing and our performance. And that's not fair to you guys and what you're trying to accomplish in your life. So let's not get caught up in it. Another side of it is the immune system. The immune system works a lot with inflammation. We see this with allergies. A lot of allergies create inflammation, and it's creating these responses that we deal with, whether it's a intense inflammation reaction like a swelling of the throat and you're feeling like you can't breathe, or whether it's just, a tickle in our nose that's causing us to sneeze over and over again and our eyes are watering. It also impacts our immunity. Our immune system is key to keeping us healthy and helping us deal with sickness. So we need to make sure this system is taken care of in a good spot so it can heal us the way we need to heal, and that things aren't getting in and getting past our defenses and causing issues for ourselves, making life even harder. Because that's the other thing that happens is once we do get things into our immune system that are causing problems, it tends to make life harder, and that difficulty ends up causing more stress, which then in turn makes it easier to get sick next time. So we kind of create this cycle of getting stuck in it, of just our system not working at 100%. So we just got to try and take care of these things and build it up to get where they need to go. Another side of it is the psychology side. If you're always sick, it may not be your body's fault. It might be unresolved trauma. It's a very real thing. Thoughts, emotions, trauma all impact how we feel and what's going on in our body. And you can literally feel it, especially if you get more into like the somatic therapies where they're focusing on body sensations and the things that you're feeling. It's a big piece of it. And when we have unresolved trauma, it gets stuck in our nervous system and it does play out over and over again. And it can just start creating problems and little waves in our system that make it really hard to get back to that premier setup we're looking for where things are working at that peak performance. It also explains how chronic stress or trauma dysregulates the immune system. Autoimmune, again, inflammation, disease. Studies show higher inflammation markers in people with depression or PTSD. So we have actually shown this stuff in studies that if we don't get what we need, our body does show these higher inflammation markers from having these mental health issues. And it might be a good indicator that there's other stuff going on that we got to take care of, but it might also be that we got to urge ourselves to take care of the depression, the PTSD, the anxiety, whatever's going on. Because if we let it run rampant in the background, it's just kind of causing damage to our system. And sometimes it causes issues that turn into bigger issues. And if we can jump on that stuff sooner than later, it's going to be better for us in the long run. So get that trauma out if it's stuck in there. It may not be your body's fault. We might not have issues like we think we do. We might just have to take care of something. And sometimes if we face it, it just goes a whole lot better. So connecting to a couple real world situations so we can see how this plays out, one thing I want to touch on real quick is how grief affects immunity. Burnout or stress can increase illness, and grief can affect immunity. This is more connected to, the loss of a person. It could also be the loss of a thing or a situation or something that was really important to you, but it can cause us to get sick more often. When we're going through grief, we hold a tremendous amount of tension in our body and we don't even realize it's there. They've actually shown in a recent study that progressive muscle relaxation, going through each muscle, flexing it and releasing it, relaxing it, can lead to a better response and a quicker release or relief compared to just mindfulness exercises by itself. And the reason for that is because of that tension we hold on to, and getting that tension out when we are grieving can be really beneficial for that process and make it a little easier. It won't fix it, it won't make it just perfect, but it will make it easier. That chronic stress is going to increase illness, and trauma survivors often have both physical and psychological symptoms. When we go through things, our body holds on to it. I mean, there's a reason there's that book on trauma that's pretty big that a lot of people talk about called The Body Keeps the Score, because the body literally holds on to these things when we go through it. And they explore in that book how we can have physical sensations connected to the things that we've gone through. Even when we're reminded of the thing we went through, it can bring up the physical sensation. I mean, sometimes that's the hardest part of trauma work, when it is really intense trauma work around like sexual abuse or physical abuse, is it can literally bring up feelings within the body that we didn't even know were there. So that can be pretty intense and cause a lot of issues. And emotional suppression, chronic illness, can really cost us if we're not addressing that mind-body link. We have to take care of us, and if we're not taking care of these things, it leads to bigger problems, and we often don't realize how big these problems are until it starts blowing up in our face, and then it's really hard to take care of, and all the stress of everything is really holding us down. So try and jump on things soon. If you see something going on, make sure you're getting what you need to take care of it. Even if you're being a little more proactive and you're not being as reactive, I mean, preventative, while it feels like sometimes we jump on things that aren't problems, sometimes we're stopping things from becoming problems. And if we could have that preventative mindset of just taking care of ourselves before things become issues, it might really help out our society, like health-wise, because a lot of how our society works is waiting for things to become problems and then jumping on it. Sometimes we just got to build up that mind-body connection and really take care of us and make sure we're in a good spot. Traditional medicine often misses the whole picture. Trauma lives in your body, not just your memories. Therapy, mindfulness, and somatic work can improve immune function, and the importance of integrating mental health care into our overall healthcare is a really huge piece, and this is why I'm pushing this stuff out there, because I think this is a piece that we haven't taken as seriously as we should, and that we're kind of being a little disingenuous to how impactful it can be, because these things don't work in vacuums. It's not just our mental health and just our physical health. They are impacting each other. And if we don't take care of it, it's going to get us into a really tough spot. These things aren't just living in our memories. We got to take care of them. And this is why traditional medicine often misses the full picture, is we're so hyper-focused on one aspect, the aspect that we're focusing on, the aspect we work in. And sometimes we got to send people out to go take care of other things. And I mean, this is why on our side of the mental health field, we have this rule of always taking care of the medical first, because we want to cross that out, because that could be causing problems mentally that could be taken care of the second the medical problem is fixed. So we got to take care of our body and make sure everything's taken care of. It also helps us understand why it's so hard to lose weight sometimes. When people are stressed, they seem to burn fewer calories. We have shown this in studies. They're also shown to sleep poorer. They have more of a dysregulated circadian cycle, which is a big piece of just our mental health and how our body system is running on that 24-hour clock. And these factors may contribute to increased hunger and worse cravings for high-calorie snacks. When we're not feeling good, when we're not taking care of our body craves those high-calorie snacks, whether that's sugars, sweets, high carbs, processed foods, this kind of stuff that's really just like packed with calories. And it doesn't really help us. This stuff sounds good and it's more of a short-term relief because it's releasing endorphins that can feel good, but it doesn't actually help us, and it tends to lead to more problems and more issues in our body. Humans have drastically changed lifestyles and eating habits too quickly for the body to have evolved. In the past, every animal faced a similar eat or be eaten situation. But today's chronic stress has nothing to do with being consumed by another creature. We're consuming ourselves with worry and anxiety. And this goes back to just that chronic stress versus the acute stress. And kind of what we talked about in that threat system in that first episode, and that's why we use that as the first episode, is that's the foundation, is our body isn't set up to deal with the stress we deal with nowadays. And it can become chronic stress very quickly, which is why you have to be very mindful of it and take care of these things when they do pop up. Because if we don't, they cause more issues and wreak havoc on our lives. We have to be aware of these changes. We have to be aware of where our body is at and how it's working in the current society we live in. We got to work with it, not against it. So don't be afraid to take care of it and give it what it needs. It could lead to some really good stuff. Another thing we have to watch out for is we got to keep an eye on for when and how we self-isolate, because we all do it and it happens. It's normal. We just got to keep an eye on it, because with chronic stress, people tend to distance themselves from others at the very time they need connection. It's very common when we're struggling or going through stress to kind of shut down, put up the barriers, and keep everyone away. We think it's going to save us. We think it's going to keep us safe, because our brain is wired for survival, not for happiness. It is set up to keep us alive, not to make us feel good. With that in mind, when we're going through that stress, our body's going to start doing things to try and protect ourselves. But we have to keep in mind that we may have a better idea of how to take care of ourselves than our just implicit reactive response that our body wants to do. So keep an eye on the social calendar. If we're not scheduling as much time with friends and family as before, it's a sign that other things may be going on and going wrong. So just see what's happening. Keep an eye on it. If you do notice yourself turning more things down, stopping doing things that you're normally doing in the past, and anything like that, there might be something hitting you. There might be something impacting you, and we're going to have to get past it and figure out what that is. So keep an eye on that and see what's going on. That's a great kind of sign to recognize if there's problems we got to jump on, or just getting ourselves back in the habit. You can do that also with self-care in general, taking care of your body, exercising, eating, sleeping. If any of that stuff starts falling off, that's a good indication something's going on and it's taking your attention and it's pulling you away from the things that are helping you on a daily basis. And that stuff doesn't really go well in the long run. We got to just get it back up. And it's not a bad thing these things fall off. It happens. We just got to get them back up. We can't let them just keep falling. Your brain is not broken. It's inflamed. This stuff impacts everything in our body. It's not just one part or another part. It impacts everything. PsychoNeuroImmunology proves that mental health is physical health. And if we don't treat it that way, it's going to cause problems for you. Stress influences brain and psyche via the immune system. A study found that chronic stress affects the immune system and the brain. Researchers now show that a particular enzyme found in the cells of an immune system enters the brain under stress. In mice, it causes them to withdraw and avoid social contact. So again, when we're under that chronic stress, our body and our brain will try and avoid the social contact and the social interaction, thinking it's actually keeping us safe and protecting us when it really isn't. Another study showed that stressed out brain cells are the root cause of neurodegenerative diseases. UC Berkeley research suggests that constant stress triggered by clumping proteins is killing brain cells. And this is contributing to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, a lot of these memory related things, that neurodegenerative disease, aka the brain degenerating, and neurology, the nervous system, those pieces. So this is a big thing as well. That stress is a huge part, and we've seen this with studying people living into their hundreds. You may have seen that there's random stories of people living into their hundreds doing various things, like smoking cigars every day or having a Coca-Cola every day or whatever it is. There's always something, and it's always something random. But really, the thing that they found when they look at everybody and they really zoom out and look at the whole picture is that people that live into their hundreds are really great at dealing with stress. They don't deal with stress very often. When stressful things happen, they just kind of brush it off and keep moving and work through it pretty fast. But they don't get stressed out and sit in stress all the time. And this might be the key to longevity. This might be the key to health, is if we aren't under stress, and it's not suppressing stress, it's not ignoring or avoiding stress, it's actually dealing with it, regulating and moving forward, we can have a really happy life and have things work out a whole lot better. Our body is not good at being under stress, especially constantly. This is why we need to do acute stress like exercise or hard math problems, challenges for ourselves, but they all have to be short. They can't be there too long, otherwise they break us down. We can't be in stress all the time. We have to be in stress some of the time, not none of the time. We need that balance. Another study showed that recurrent heart failure linked to accumulated stress in immunity-forming stem cells. I think this is super interesting because it shows how that connection in the body and the mind is so powerful, and that the body can actually learn these things from going through a stressful situation. The stress of a heart failure is remembered by the body and appears to lead to recurrent failure, along with other related health issues. Researchers have found that heart failure leaves a stress memory in the form of changes to DNA modifications of chemotopic stem cells, which are involved in the production of blood and immune cells called macrophages. Excuse me. These immune cells also play an important role in protecting our heart health. So going through a heart failure, even if it doesn't kill you, can be so intense on the body that it actually modifies the DNA to remember this thing, and it can lead to more future heart failures and future health issues related to it. So again, we have to be aware of this stuff. We have to keep this in mind. And no, this is not saying that if you have heart issues that you're doomed to just go through more of it. It just means that if we have had a heart issue, or if we do go through something, the body's going to remember it, and we have to go out of our way to take care of it. We can't just wait for it to happen again. It's going to happen again, and it's not going to lead to good things. Another piece that we can get into is cancer. To drive their growth, many tumors hijack the nervous system signals, including those needed for brain plasticity. To put it in physiologic terms, tumors don't just grow blood vessels, they also wire themselves into the nervous system. Certain brain cancers form working electrical connections with nearby nerves, then use the nerves' electrical signals for their own purposes. The research has shown the latest findings from a published study in Nature on November 1st demonstrates that these tumors can even hijack the biological machinery of brain plasticity, which enables learning to drive their own growth. So it's literally hijacking our system, setting us up for problems, and taking advantage of it to help itself grow. So again, this system is impacting all of these things. It's not just our physical health. It can impact our mental health, our nervous system, and all these things are all connected. They're all interdependent. These discoveries have opened a novel field of medicine called cancer neuroscience. And this is part of the thing with PsychoNeuroImmunology, is that it is creating new aspects of science and new understandings, new insights, because of the overlap we're seeing in these various fields and understanding it through that lens together. And the more we're working on these fields together and sharing the work with each other, the more we're seeing and the more we're understanding that these systems all work together in really impactful ways. It offers new opportunities to target some of the deadliest forms of cancers, including brain tumors that are almost always lethal. So it's helping us do new things and helping us get advantage on these really terrible diseases and sicknesses. But we have to take this stuff seriously and really take control of our health. And it doesn't just start with, you know, doing something once we're sick. It starts with taking care of ourselves on an everyday basis, making sure that we're not holding on to stress and sitting in problems, and we're actually helping ourselves through these things. And if we are sitting in that stress all the time, we got to start working on how to get that stress gone. And if you don't know how, I mean, that could be a great chance to work with a therapist of just figuring out how to feel less stressed in your life, whether that be putting in a new routine that helps you out, or it's actually taking things out of your life that are causing stress. We just got to figure out where it's coming from. That's the key with a lot of things, is finding that root of what it's doing, like where it's coming from, and then we get to work on the root. And with this, really it's just being in chronic stress is just not good for us. And this is also something to keep in mind with something we've talked about before with perspective of being pessimistic. Because if we're pessimistic, there's a good chance you're under stress pretty often, and it is going to impact these systems. So again, we think we're protecting ourselves by having that pessimistic worldview, but really it doesn't actually help us. It's setting us up for more problems because our body isn't responding in the way it needs to, because it's sitting under that stress pretty constantly. So we have to help ourselves through this stuff. We can't let it just sit in the background and wait for it to become into bigger issues and bigger problems. We got to jump on it when it's small. We got to jump on it when it's manageable. And if we can just work on bettering ourselves individually and taking care of ourselves, getting ourselves to that prime mental health where we are, that's going to give us better physical health in our life. It's going to help us do more things. And, a big thing with longevity is also making sure our body is there too, because longevity is one thing, but if your body's falling apart while you're living a long life, I mean, that's not going to feel super awesome either. We want to live a long life, and we want to be able to do things and be active and be able to live our life fully. So make sure you're taking care of that body. Making sure you're taking care of that mental health and checking in on yourself as often as you can, so we can take care of things when they pop up and not letting things sit in the background and create bigger issues and bigger problems, because it's not going to help us, and it's going to just lead to more issues and more concerns. Another study found an interesting connection with lupus and mental health. So, an increase in nightmares or hallucinations, or daymares, could herald the onset of autoimmune diseases such as lupus. The study interviewers found that using the term daymares to talk about hallucinations often led to a light bulb moment for patients, and they felt that it was a less frightening and stigmatized word for what they were going through. So if you are working in the field and you do have a inkling something's going on, thinking about the daymare side of it and trying to understand like some of these hallucinations that we can have in the middle of the day, almost like daydreaming, except it's more of a day nightmare, daymare, is going to be something that's going to help connect that dot of like this could be something going on. A nurse from Scotland said, "I've seen them admitted for an episode of psychosis, and the lupus isn't screened for until someone says, 'Oh, I wonder if it might be lupus.' But it was several months and very difficult, especially with young women, and it's learning more than it had that and it's learning more that it is how lupus affects some people, and it's not an antipsychotic drug they need. It's like a lot of steroids they need." So with this, we can get caught up missing the problem if we get too hyper focused on this. And I wanted to bring this up to really just put that thought in the back of your guys' mind, that if there is some mental health issue coming on that just started out of the blue, there might be something else to this. There might be something else going on. So let's check these things off. Again, this is why we say check off medical before we do the mental. And we can do both at the same time. That's not bad, because these things take time to get appointments set up and do what we got to do. But let's not just get caught up that the second something starts or changes, that this is just what it is and that answer is the only answer. There's a lot of different things that can cause a lot of different things. The brain is a very complicated thing, and impacting one part of it can change a lot of it. So I wanted to really put that out there just to shine that awareness on it, that having something like lupus or any other autoimmune diseases can cause issues that we think are more physical when they might be more mental, and vice versa. I've seen this with anxiety, when I have had a lot of clients that have denied anxiety when, from what I'm seeing in the symptoms and the way it's portraying itself, it's pretty clearly it's anxiety, but they're just so caught up with the physical symptoms they're feeling, whether it be, feeling super dizzy, or whether it be issues with their heart rate and all these kind of things that are coming on. But there can be some pretty good studies behind this that show we got to check in with ourselves, and that these things might be a symptom of the problem. It might not be the problem themselves. One of these things is connected to heart rate, especially if we have a fear of something. Like, if we think something's going to happen, our heart rate's going to go up, it's going to skyrocket. And if you're scared of something like being a problem, there's a good chance that every time you're getting this thing checked out with that high heart rate, they might think there is actually a problem. But if you calmed yourself down, you got yourself to kind of refocus and get your mind off of it, and then you check your heart rate, it might be a totally normal heart rate. So again, we have to be aware of that mental health and how it's going to impact our physical health, because it can cause symptoms and signs that we think are just purely physical, but it might be connected to the mental. And again, vice versa. This connection works both ways. It's not just one way. So we could have physical problems that are creating mental health issues for ourselves. And if we have a new anxiety that popped up out of nowhere, I mean, that might be something to check out. Like, what's going on with my body? What am I feeling right now? So be aware of these factors. Be aware of how codependent these fields are on each other, and how interdependent it is to figuring things out. And that we're just getting more and more information by exploring these fields and having that overlap play out. With this stuff, there is some ways you can use the knowledge of it to help yourself. Mindfulness practices are great for nervous system regulation. This is why we talk about so many of them. So I want to give you guys a lot of different ways to regulate that nervous system. So find something that you like and keep regulating it, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's any of these reflection exercises or anything else. And if you feel like you need more, I mean, EMDR is a really great one because it targets that nervous system directly. So it can help us regulate if we're feeling like there's things stuck there that's getting in the way of regulation. Another good one is just kind of basic lifestyle things like sleep, nutrition, and movement. Those are pretty great psychoneuroimmunological interventions. So make sure you're taking care of the body. The better you take care of the body, the better the body and the mind's going to feel. Emotional expression can really help. It's a great immune support tool. That could be journaling, that could be talking, that could be doing talk therapy. Just kind of getting these things out. It could be drawing, it could be art. We sometimes got to release these things, and if we hold on to stuff, it usually leads to bigger problems and more problems. Another big one is breath work and cold exposure. These pieces activate the vagus nerve stimulation, which helps us with that connection from our physical health and our mental health. The vagus nerve is a nerve that connects our gut to our brain. And this nerve sends information from our gut to our brain all the time, and it sends it both ways. So controlling that and stimulating that vagus nerve through breath work or cold exposure can really help create a calm or relax our body. Visualization techniques used in both sports psychology and cancer treatment are pretty impactful for people. And the reason I want to bring this up is because of both sides of that it can help us with performance and finding success in what we're doing, but it can also help with something like cancer treatment. We can use visualization as a helpful tool to help our body get what it needs. Visualization is very powerful. It helps create feelings in our body. That's why we use it, but it can also help us find success with the performance that we're doing too. So don't be too caught up in just using this for performance. Don't be too caught up just using it for, physical or mental health. Let's use it for both. Let's take advantage of these things, and let's get ourselves feeling good, and then let's get ourselves to achieving our dreams and reaching our goals too. There are also some strategies and skills to help with psychoneuroimmunological issues. Some of those things are things that we just talked about, taking care of the body, like a lot of just self-care and regulation. That can be really helpful. We got the emotional control side of DBT that we're going to get into a little bit more in the future, which just helps us regulate our emotions. And there's skills in there that could be helpful, so I don't want to go over a bunch of them there. But what is a really powerful thing is fostering a positive mindset. Positive self-talk, challenging a negative thought and replacing them with more balanced and supportive ones can improve your emotional well-being and stress resilience. So we can handle more stress, we can take on more things, and it doesn't hit us as hard, it doesn't cause as many problems. Positive emotions can really help be associated with improved immune function. This could be like gratitude or humor or just really enjoying a moment. It's just creating this sense of just peace and that things feel okay. And if anyone's had like a really great time with friends or family or anyone in their life, you've felt this before where things just feel good. And if we lived in that feeling, we had that feeling there pretty often, it is going to impact our immune function and how it's working out. So we've got to take care of us. We've got to go get the good things, and we got to foster that positive mindset and not get caught up in that pessimism. It's not going to help us. It's going to break things down. I know we think we're protecting ourselves by being pessimistic, but we're not. We're just breaking ourselves down and being unfair to ourselves by cutting our legs out from underneath us before we get running. So build up that positive mindset, positive self-talk, and focus on those positive emotions. It doesn't mean suppress or ignore or avoid the negative emotions or self-talk. We just got to deal with it. We got to embrace it. We got to feel it. We got to get ourselves back to that positive side best we can when we can. There are a lot of stories of success with psychoneuroimmunology issues. There's a lot of research that has offered compelling evidence that focusing on the mind-body connection can be a powerful tool for improving mental health outcomes and physical health outcomes. Interventions that address psychological factors like stress, emotions, and social support can have a significant positive impact on the immune system and our overall well being. So, taking care of ourselves has shown to help us out in kind of all areas of our life, just overall well being. We have to take care of the whole system, our mental health, our physical health, and this stuff is going to impact other aspects of how our life is, which is going to, in the future, limit stress that we're running into. We're going to have less problems, less issues. That's going to help us. It's going to make it easier to live a positive, happy life, enjoying yourself, and having that stress-free life that we're looking for. So if you are having issues, if you are having problems, and you feel like you can't figure it out, it might be worth considering that we might be focusing on just one part instead of the whole. And if we change that up and focus more on the whole, everything might work a whole lot better, and you might find more of the results that you're looking for from the treatment that you're doing. There are a lot of different treatments that you can take advantage of for these type of issues, some of which we've already talked about, so we'll cover a little generally and broadly, such as mind-body interventions. So this could be different aspects of therapy, like more somatic work. This could be meditations, mindfulness. This could be reflections. You could be using skills and tools, body scans, just different things to connect the body and the mind, making sure everything's feeling kind of connected and full. The other aspect is therapy, talking through stresses, working through the problems that you have, EMDR to get things out that are stuck, just taking advantage of the things you might need, getting medication if we need medication, just taking care of stuff in general. Lifestyle modifications is pretty big. That's all the self-care stuff, regulating the body through taking care of the body, making sure we're eating good, sleeping good, getting social connections, we're pursuing things, we have accomplishments, we have goals, we're doing things for fun, just kind of generally taking care of ourselves and maybe adjusting some lifestyle factors if we need to set ourselves up for just better situations. There's also immunomodulatory therapies that can be really helpful with the immune system and building ourselves up. And another thing with this is we can use a combination of things. For example, neuroimmunological disorders might be treated with immune suppression medications, physical and occupational therapy, and lifestyle modifications. Children's Hospital in Los Angeles lists options such as intravenous medication, oral medication, and plasmapheresis for neuroinflammatory disorders. And what this is really showing is that sometimes we need to use all of these things all at once, and it's not just one or the other. We got to use a combination of them. We got to attack the whole system and take care of everything, not just one or the other. We're going to miss something. We might manage some of the symptoms. We might find some relief. But to actually take care of these things, we have to go after everything and focus on the whole picture. That kind of brings us to the next piece, which is the holistic approach. A holistic approach to health emphasizes the interconnectedness of physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being, rather than viewing them as separate entities. And I think that's a problem we get into sometimes, is viewing these things as separate entities. And some of you may have had a reaction to just hearing about the holistic approach in general. Maybe positive, maybe negative. Because this stuff tends to have a different feeling with it because it doesn't lean on things the same way as traditional medicine does, but it does still incorporate traditional medicine. It's just saying we can't just focus on one thing. We have to do other things as well. And sometimes we get too caught up on the other sides of it and we lose sight of the traditional medicine part, and that's not helpful either. It's again about balance. We got to take care of the stuff that works, but we also got to take care of the other parts that we're missing. This focus is really on treating the whole person, addressing the root cause of the illness and promoting overall wellness, which is the goal of psychoneuroimmunology, is promoting overall well-being. So the more we take care of our mental health, the more we take care of our physical health, the better we feel in general. And this is going to hit on our emotional, our social, our spiritual. It kind of hits on everything. So we got to take care of these things. We got to be aware if there's a piece of that maybe we haven't touched or haven't explored at all. And that's okay if you haven't yet. We just got to start now and take a look and see if there is a factor there that we maybe haven't seen. With all of this stuff, recognition is the first step. If we don't know something's happening, it's really hard to do anything about it and to get to work on it. So recognize what's going on, see what's happening, see what's going on in your life and what you're noticing as you're going through things. And if you're struggling, see where the struggles are coming from. And if you can't figure it out, let's just try to start exploring it and see if we can find a root. If you're not sure where to start, just start taking care of the body. Just start with the simple stuff, the self-care, just seeing how that feels. And then from there, maybe we get up an appointment set up and we go check out our blood work, see how our body's doing. Maybe get a physical. Maybe we go in for a dental appointment, see how our teeth are doing. Just taking care of that body and making sure our body's getting everything it needs so it can find that success it's looking for and it can lead to that performance we're looking for too in our life. Our goal here is to create that premier mindset, because then with that premier mindset, we can create the premier performance. Without the premier mindset, we can't create this stuff. So we have to be aware of where we're at and what's working and what's not, what's getting in our way, and sometimes it's just us. So don't be afraid to take care of the issues if there's issues. And it really goes back to the idea that the awareness of this is great, but if we need treatment, if we need therapy, if we need medical treatment, whatever it is, let's go get it. Let's not push these things off and just ignore it. I know it's not fun to get these things taken care of, but the longer we wait on it, the bigger the problem becomes and the harder it is to work on it. So let's just get to it now and let's keep it small. Let's keep it manageable. Just get started. If you think there's anyone that could benefit from this episode, make sure to share it with them. We want to get this stuff out there to anybody that could get something from it. So don't be afraid to send it out, share it with somebody, see if somebody gets something from it. Even if you share it with them and they never listen to it, it's really no big deal. It's not going to lead to any big problems. It's just whatever. But sometimes when we send things out, people do listen to it. And sometimes it can change things and set them up in a path that's a lot better for them. So don't be afraid to send it out there, even if you think that they might get something from it. Just send it. See what happens. And if you did get something from it, or you do find something beneficial, or you just want to let me know something we can do better, leave a review. We love hearing from you guys. We want to stay connected, and we want to make things as best as we can. So just let us know if there are things that you're hearing or seeing, and you do want them different, or if you just want to give a little shout out because it is helping you in some way. Other people seeing what has been helpful for others can be helpful for them to start trying things out and just get started on their own journey. With that in mind, I make it a point to give you guys actionable tools to find success in your life. So let me know if it's working, if it's helping, if it's not. I want to know how these things are playing out, because I do look into them and I'm trying to make sure to give you guys great stuff that does work. But, you guys are going to be the ones to tell me better than anyone if it is actually working or not. So let me know, reach out, tell me how it's going, share the success stories, share the struggles, whatever feels right. I'd love to hear all of it. And if you have anything you want to share, there's a lot of ways you can reach out. You could reach out through email. My email is tmailer@premierperformancereno.com. My last name spelled Mahler. You could text or call me directly at 775-561-0056. We also got the Instagram and the TikTok with the same name, Premier_Performance_Reno. So follow us on both of those. We'd love to see you there. And then we have the Facebook page and the LinkedIn page with the same name, Premier Performance LLC, for both of those. So again, follow us on there. We'd love to see you guys. We're trying to build up that community just to connect you guys with each other, help support each other, and just help share success and things that are working out and things that aren't. So let me know what's going on. Let me know if there are certain things you want more of. And I always love to hear from you guys, whether it's success or struggle or just something you guys want me to talk about more on future episodes. That's awesome. Just let me know. I'm trying to tailor this stuff best I can to you guys and what you're looking for. But the only way to do that is to hear from you guys of what you're looking for. So let me know. I'd love to hear. Next week, we're going to keep going with this stuff. We got new episodes that come up every Sunday. And next week, we're going to jump into OCD and habit forming. These things go really well together because they're kind of the same topic. And, I think OCD is going to be a good one to cover because there has been some questions and thoughts on it. And again, this goes back to me trying to cover topics that people are asking for and looking for. So if you have certain things you are curious about and you want to get more on, make sure you send it my way and I'll give you guys everything I have and we'll cover it very thoroughly. And if there are things you want me to go deeper into that of a topic that I've already covered, you can always send that my way too. I'd love to revisit stuff, whether it's like doing another episode on it or just diving deeper into certain aspects of it. So we'll dive into that next time, see how that helps out, see if that provides any awareness or just information for you guys to build up your life. And other than that, go out there, go live your life, go have some fun, put yourself in these spots to grow and just build up that comfort zone and get outside of the comfort zone every once in a while. And, build up that body, take care of the mental health and the physical health. Don't let these things get lost and don't forget about them. Do the best you can, be the best you can be, reach for those dreams, find that peak performance. And if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. I want to be a resource for you guys. Otherwise, we'll keep going with it all next week. I hope you have a good week. I'll see you soon.